Hi there, it's Jason Goebel with Faithful Insurance. I wanted to take this time just to put together a quick video proposal to introduce myself, but also more importantly, we want to make sure that you are aware of what your insurance coverages are doing for you and explain in detail what they are so that you can pick a limit that's going to give you and your family proper protection and give you peace of mind. Most people think that for car insurance that you just have full coverage and then you're fully covered. That's a myth, and there are specific limits that go involved with that. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. Again, I wanted to share a little bit about my journey. I've been in the insurance business since 2001. I've been an independent insurance agent, meaning that I can shop around for other companies for the last 15 years. And I opened up Faithful Insurance in 2017. It is faith-based. We're Christians, and our motto is loving people through insurance. And one of the ways we do that is demonstrating that by explaining coverages. So let's get right into it. So starting with car insurance, on my screen here, we've coverage for the first thing is bodily injury limit. So in the state of Arizona right now, the minimum is actually $25.50. So that's $25,000 per person, $50,000 each accident. What that's doing is in the event that you're in an accident, you're at fault, the other party that you hit is trying to sue you for pain and suffering, medical, or loss of wages. These are the limits that we're going to cover you for. So you want to be very careful on this and make sure that you're selecting a limit that's going to protect your total assets or net worth. So 25 grand is what you're kind of looking at. So if you hit a person and there's just one person involved in the accident, they're injured and they sue you. If you have more than $25,000 worth of assets, they could come after you for the rest. So you want to make sure that if you're going to pay insurance, right? Let's say you're paying $150 a month, whatever the price is, you want to make sure that that $150 a month is going to cover you if something happens. The last thing you want to do is pay that amount and then something happens and you still have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket because you don't have the right coverage. Okay, so when you're trying to figure out, do I have the right coverage? There's a couple things to take into consideration. Number one, I would never recommend 2550. That's way too low. My minimum recommendation is 5100. And then from there, I'm going to recommend more based on the following examples. So number one, if you have a household income of over $50,000, then 5100 is not going to be enough because even if you don't have any assets whatsoever, they could do wage garnishment. So you want to take that into consideration. If you own a home, you need to have at least a minimum of 100, 300 coverage because they can't take your house away, but they could put a lien up against your house. So positive equity could go to them if something were to happen. So if you own a home and you have a household income of $100,000 or more, then I would recommend you going to the next tier up at 250, 500. And if you have a household income over 150, I would recommend you carrying an umbrella policy. An umbrella policy would give you an additional $1 million above and beyond the auto and your home policy. So your home policy would typically be 300,000 for the liability, and then your auto, if we did 250, 500 for example, the auto would pay, like if it was an auto accident and you needed an umbrella, the auto would pay for the first 250,000, and then your umbrella policy would then kick in for an additional million. So you'd have 1.25 million on the home. You'd have 1.3 million if there was a home suit. Obviously, the home wouldn't cover the auto and vice versa, but there are two different examples that umbrella does both. So going on here, property damage. Again, the state only requires you to carry 25,000. This is going to cover you in the event that you're at fault in the accident, pays to the other party's vehicle or multiple vehicles. So you want to make sure that you have enough coverage. Nowadays, vehicles are worth way more than $25,000. So you're putting yourself in a huge liability exposure of having to pay out-of-pocket expenses again. That's why our recommendation is minimum 50, 150 for the property damage. And then if you've got 100, 300, it would be 100, 300, 100, which would be the maximum for the property damage limit. Medical payments is a third-party type of coverage. So this is in the event that you're in an accident and you guys are injured, it's actually going to pay you, anybody in your vehicle, not the other party. So not third party, I take that back. It's going to cover you and anybody in your vehicle if something were to happen. A lot of times we don't put that on there. You're not getting a lot of bang for your buck on that, but we do have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage that we do definitely recommend that you're carrying. And normally we just match whatever your liability limits are. So whether it's 50, 100, 100, 300, 250, they would just match accordingly. So what this does is uninsured motorist means that you're in an accident, but you're not at fault. The other party is, and they no insurance, which would be uninsured. Then your uninsured motorist would protect you and pay to your pain and suffering, medical or loss of wages. And if they're underinsured, meaning they do have insurance, but they don't have enough insurance, then again, this would be access coverage. So let's say they had 5100. So you have more than $50,000 in medical expenses and they don't have enough to cover you. Your uninsured motorist would kick in after that. So this is only if the other party is at fault, not if you're at fault. And then you've got collision and comprehensive. This is the quote unquote full coverage section expression of it. So full coverage generically just means that you've got coverage for your liability, and then you've got coverage for the vehicles, the physical damage coverage here. So the deductibles typically on insurance companies are going to range from 250 to 1,000 are kind of the popular. So normally the popular limits are either 500 or 1,000. So comprehensive is anything other than a collision. So theft, weather damage, stuff like that is going to be under the comprehensive. Glass is also under the comprehensive, but typically if you have a $500 deductible, let's say, or 1,000, you could have glass waiver coverage on there. So if you have glass waiver coverage, it just waives the deductible on comprehensive so that you get glass coverage for free. Collision, again, is going to be anything that collides into your vehicle or if you collide into something else. And then there's roadside assistance, of course, towing and labor, and then rental car coverage for rental reimbursement. So that's the gist of the auto insurance coverage. I'm going to send you out a couple proposals. Let me know what you think. Forward to running your business, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.